Hello and welcome to another edition of Neighborhood Training. This week we're going to do a very quick review of the John Parker Road neighborhood, and the reason I focus on that is because it connects two areas together, and we do use it as a shortcut from one area to the other, but also we have had a few incidents in this area over time, so it's just a good area to review. And as we'll see from here, that the road network stretches from Route 28 in East Falmouth to Sandwich Road, and it is a residential area. There are a few home-based businesses along in the area, which I will point out. But as you'll see, there's a few just other features. Obviously, is this water area here, which is part of the Coonamessett River, and the Vacation Lane and Louise Lane. About 10 houses in there, and then we have the bogs and the bog roads. A few brush fires there now and then. As time has gone on, we have the Harris Hill and Wanamaker Drive neighborhood, which is fairly new, probably within the past 10 years, pretty well developed. And we have the S-curve right at the bog, where we've had a few accidents here and there over time. And then we have the Veronica Lane, Flax Pond Road, Luciano Botello Road neighborhood there, and Flax Pond itself there. And there are a couple of access points to Flax Pond right here on Flax Pond Road, and then also there's the beach area here with the John Parker Village, which is now all condos. It used to be a hotel, and now it's all small condos made out of the units. It's non-sprinklers, about 28 units, no master box, accessed off of this dirt road off of John Parker. There's a street sign there and a little, dirt road access, and there's another dirt road access over here. I just want to make sure we can point that out. It doesn't really show that well in this map off of Old Meeting House either. It's not really well marked. I think it's just a small street sign over here. I was hoping it would be a little bit better marked out, but it's not. And that is our not very good access, but there is hydrants throughout there for this hotel condominium complex. And once we get up towards 28, it gets much denser in the housing, and we get into Victor's Lane, Mendoza Lane, Clark Street, which is a cut over to Old Meeting House. And down at this end here, where we meet up with Route 28, there are some older kind of Victorian type houses on this end here. So just keep that in mind. Most of on the other end are ranches and capes and more modern houses, whereas on the 28 side you're apt to get an older Victorian. And that's all we're going to spend the time with on the Google Earth. Set up there, we'll go right over to the mapping systems here. I know everybody is familiar with this area here, so it's just basically just a review of the area. Now we do have hydrants throughout the whole area. Down on the Route 28 side, they seem to be a little lower in gallons per minute. This one here is saying 400 gallons a minute. Although once we get past Clark Street, they do run up into 1,300 gallons a minute range. We have the Zeke's Way here, going to one house down this little point here by Coonamessett River. and then we move up to Clark Street. There we go. In Clark Street, of course, there's a cutover, and one thing that we mentioned about Clark Street is that on Clark Street is the Sharon Drive here, which accesses these houses here. There is a street sign there, but as far as the mapping systems, you won't see a very clear delineated road. This area in here is, back in the day, people could build houses just about anywhere, and there wasn't any real town oversight to it, and that's how this came to be here. The same thing with Mendoza Lane. As you see right here, there's 7 and 11, and those are related to Mendoza Lane, but actually the 11 Mendoza gets its access off Sharon Drive, although there is this little access to it here. So there could be some confusion when people are calling in, especially for this number 11. And then we move up to Victor's Lane. About 10 houses in Victor's Lane. And then we'll move down, move up on John Parker, and basically here is the Parker Road entrance, and for some reason here they're saying this hydrant is 2,400 gallons a minute. I don't know how that can be between 1,300 and 1,200 gallons a minute. You have one that's 2,400. I have a feeling that maybe that should be 1,430 or something like that. But anyway, but there is a 1,200 gallon a minute and a 1,300 gallon a minute here on Parker Road, so perhaps there is a good cross flow connection going on there. And there's the hotel condo building there, and then I want to run into this Flax Pond Road, Veronica Lane and Luciano Botello Road. As you can see, these hydrants here are still showing 1,300. So Flax Pond Road ends up a little beach over here. On the front here we have kind of an unfinished house going on. We'll take a picture of that and we'll take a look at that. The other thing we need to keep in mind is that the residents here have blocked off this section here of Luciano Botello Road with boulders, and we'll take a look at that in a little bit. But we need to be cognizant of that we can't give directions to this section of Luciano Botello Way because of the block off. We got to come through Southview. And so these houses here, even though they're Luciano Botello Way, they're not accessible to us. These 61, 56, 51, we're going to have to come all the way through here. So perhaps at some point we can get that noted in dispatch. But here we are around the S-curve. On the corner here of John Parker and Parker Mill. Let this map come into play here. There's kind of a home business here where a fellow does auto body work and so forth. It is more of a hobby type project, but just be aware of that in case there is a fire there. We could have obviously something to do with the flammable paints involved. And I want to take a run up this Harris Hill development here and just take a look at that. That's fairly new. We had a few calls up there, but nothing, hopefully we won't even be anything earth-shattering over the years here. So we come up Harris Hill, first right is Wanamaker, and then they have this new road cut in, Captain Bonenberger Way here. As we mentioned before when we've talked about Green Acres Road, Pine Hollow, and Sandwich Road, this area here is that sand pit, and it looks to be that the developer here is potentially intending on connecting the two developments together. and some other little small road that once in a while we have had little brush fires down is Parker Mill Road, and this is blocked off up in here, but there is an emergency access gate here that allows us to get from one area to the other, as these folks on Wanamaker, this development needed a secondary means of egress, which was through Parker Mill. All right, now we're going to go back down John Parker, and I want to get up to the Vacation Lane and Louise Lane area. Basically just looped in there, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, looks like about 15 houses. We'll see that there's one house here, I believe it's this one here, that is vacant at this time. And there are mostly capes and ranches up here, but if these are all going uphill here, and there is hydrants throughout that area here. So that about wraps that up. The town GIS map doesn't really add too much more. I'm just going to see if that comes up quickly here. Okay. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go through some of the pictures that I mentioned before that we to review this area. Here comes one now. Okay. A long time loading up here. Okay, I don't know why, but let's see. Okay, yep, this is the house on, let's see, was that Vacation or right up here, Louise Lane? That's the one I wanted to show. Louise Lane. Let's see, here we go. Yep, and it is for sale, but it is vacant in this time. So just don't have any incidents there, but just something to be aware of as we go about our business. And then this here is just a typical house on the Harris Hill Road development there. As you can see, they're pretty good sized capes. There's a few ranches up there, but most of them are these larger colonial. In this case here with the garage and the bonus room, you know, we're talking 2,400 square feet, relatively new. So that's what Harris Hill development houses are looking like. And this here is the block off there on Luciano Botello Way. Obviously we're not going to get past those boulders, and they're not really marked or anything else, so drive up there at night, we're going to be in for a little surprise. But those are the types of things we need to know, and the dispatchers need to know as well. This is an unfinished home at the corner of Flax Pond Road and John Parker Road. See some construction workers there. They've been working on this for a couple of years now. So, and the only reason I mention that is our access points here, this front door and so forth. We have a fire in there. We're obviously going to have some issues, and I'm unsure whether it's even occupied or not. In this day and age, with all the economic conditions that we have, some of these houses could be occupied. This here is a duplex apartment. 99 John Parker Road is probably one of the only duplexes that I've been able to see on there. The only reason I mention that is because of we always focus in on multi-family or multi-unit hazards. Single-family dwellings are one hazard, but once we get into multi-families and multi-units, then we get into a much larger hazard for us. And then we go into this building here, which is a house on the corner of John Parker and the Bogs, almost across from Clark Street. We had a fire there last year, and it is a town-owned building, and it has not been, it's been secured but not been torn down or anything else, an exterior type fire that damaged the structure. So hopefully we won't be back to it, but be advised it is boarded up and vacant, although certainly could have people going inside of there illegally. All right, and we'll just do a quick review of the neighborhood here. Some of the things that we've spoken about in some of our travel times, our response times that we always take a look at. And this is, of course, we're talking about the John Parker Road neighborhood. It is predominantly, well, all wood frame. Probably 99% single-family dwellings, capes, ranches, so forth. Smaller, 800, 2,400 square feet. Remember that some of the larger homes are maybe towards 28, where the older homes are, Luciano Botello Way and Harris Hill. I mentioned that if we're sent to those addresses for a fire, sometimes in our own head we can conjure up that these houses may be larger, may present a larger fire hazard. Multi-units, 99 John Parker, and also the Parker Village. The numbers run, the low end is on the East Falmouth side. Often it's from the emanation from the local post office. Not always, but in the majority of cases. So the numbers run from East Falmouth Highway up to Sandwich Road. Hazards, as we mentioned before, no box, no sprinkler on the John Parker Village. We definitely have the bogs, bog operations. We could have someone falling through the ice on the bogs, or ice skating injury, pesticides during the bog season. Hydrants, as mentioned, around 1,300 GPM. We've talked about the different streets in that area. Station 5, it's only a couple of miles from Station 5. Should be able to get there in 4 minutes. Station 1, 4.4 miles, so we're looking at 6 or 7 minutes. We'll be right behind Station 5. And Station 4 will just be a little bit behind that, our third engine. And if for some reason those engines are out, we definitely have a 12-minute or so response time from 3, which is actually closer than Woods Hole. So that about wraps that up. Just a short little presentation this week, trying to take different neighborhoods and connect different areas together. And that's it. In the meantime, we'll catch you next time on Deputy Rogers' Neighborhood.